Hey guys, happy Thursday. I hope you've been eating some cereal this week because for today's project you will need a cereal box. Or it could be a Cheez-It box or whatever kind of snacks that you like to eat. But you're going to cut out the side of a box. We have a nice flat cardboard surface. You will also need some tin foil, some glue. And then if you have string, that works really well too. I don't have string, so I'm just working with what I got. But then also if you want to add some color to it, you will need either some permanent markers or some paint. You don't have to add color, but these are some fun things to add as well when we get done. What we're going to do is emboss this foil by raising up a design on the cardboard with the glue, okay? So what I've done first is I drew out a design on the back of my cardboard, and this is where you can get as complex as you want, or it can be as simple as you want. You can do something, I've done a nice little vase of flowers. You could do something simple as a sun or just one flower, okay? So it can be any kind of design. And then after you draw it, you want to trace over all of those pencil lines with glue. So you can see this one's already dried. This is where after you do trace it over with the glue, if you have some string, that would be really good to cut out the string and put it along the, just glue it down where those lines are, and that'll help it to raise up a little bit more. That'll just make your picture it'll just pop a little bit more, but the glue does work just fine. As you can see, it's just not quite as raised. It does dry pretty flat. But you will need to let that dry for a good while. This one I did yesterday and let it dry overnight, so it's ready to go. This is one that I did just this morning. As you can see, it's still not quite dry. There are parts of it that are, but some of these parts are still pretty soft, so it's not ready to use yet. You do want it to still be, you want it to be very dry. Another thing you could try without string, if you want it to be a little bit more raised, is with this one, I did hot glue. And so you can see it does dry faster and it's more raised. The only problem I had was when I covered it with foil, it tore the foil kind of easily. So you have to be very careful if you were trying to work with that. But that's another option, and another little fun design you might try making an Easter egg with that. But then once you have that done and it's dry and ready to go, you will need your foil. So the foil has two sides. There's one side that's a little bit more shiny, one side that's a little bit less, kind of more matte. I like to use this side. So I'm going to just place it down like that, and then take my design and place it down on top of the foil, okay? So I'm doing this so that I can wrap the foil behind it so that it stays. So I'm just going to pull one side over here, and I want to make sure that it's pulled, pretty firm and secure. If you have some tape, you can also tape these edges back to make sure that it stays in place, but folding it, it should stay pretty well with just folding as well. So you want to fold all four sides so that it's nice and covered. So you can see I folded it over the back, and so then I'm going to put it back around to the front. And so once you get here, you want to rub down on the foil to make your design appear. So I'm going to just lay it flat here, and I'm going to kind of use my knuckles a little bit, and I'm just going to rub over it. And I'll show you in just a second how this is showing up and making that design appear on the foil. So I'm going over the whole thing. And then, voila, you can see the design has kind of shown through on the foil. So again, because I just did the glue and didn't have any string on there, it's not raised up very much, but you can still see the lines. So if you use the string, then it would be a little bit more prominent in that way. But once you get that done, you can choose if you want to either just leave it like that, make a nice little shiny design, or you can color it in with some permanent markers. And so the reason you'd have to use permanent markers is because regular markers like Crayola is not going to dry on the tin foil. And so what you can do is outline each of the spaces and just color inside the spaces of the design, and leave those parts that are raised with no color so that you can see that silvery part shining through for the outline of the design. Okay, so that way you have a kind of a silver outline for your design, and then you have these spaces inside that are all colored with these nice bright colorful Sharpies. Or any kind of permanent markers. So that is something you can do, is would make it really nice and bright and make those silver parts stand out if you color it in. Something else you could do is to paint it, and that's what I did a little bit earlier. Is I took some paint and just poured it on top and painted over the whole thing. Once that dried, I took a paper towel and rubbed the paint off on the parts that were raised, and that kind of gives it a more distressed look. I thought that one looked pretty cool. You do have to be more careful, especially again if you don't have any string where it is more flat. You have to be careful about making sure that you're just rubbing off the parts that are raised, because it will rub off the rest of the paint too if you do touch it. So it might be a little easier to do that if you do have the string on it. But again, I didn't use string and it worked fine for me. But you can see how the raised parts I left with the silver so that it's nice and shiny, and then the color is all around the back. So you can do that with just like the one solid color like I did, or combination of colors. You can design however you want, but it does look really cool with the markers as well standing out against the silver. So it doesn't even have to be a picture or anything. It can also just be, if you want to just glue some shapes, it could also make a really nice stained glass window. Those of you that have been on the website page and have seen the assignment there, that's something else you could try, is making a stained glass window design with these. That would look pretty cool too. So again, just let me see what you guys are making at home. You can either email me a picture of it, or post it on Facebook and tag CHCA Art with Miss Anderson. I've got a link to that on my website page as well. And then also, don't forget about the art competition. So those of you that want to participate, remember to email me a picture of your work that you want to enter. Send that to me along with your name, your grade, and the medium that you use. So if you did painting or drawing, whatever that is, tell me that in the email and I'll get that together. Those are due next Friday, the 17th by 3 p.m. Okay, so just remember that. Hope you guys had a great week and are ready to enjoy a nice Easter weekend with your family.